ذلك منزلتهم وفرج عنا بحقهم فرجا عاجلا قريبا فلمح البصر أو هو أكرم يا محمد يا علي يا علي اكفياني فإنكما كافيان وانصراني فإنكما ناصران يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان الغوث 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 أدركني 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 الساعة 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 العجل 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 يا أرحم الراحمين بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين الله اللهم كن لوليك المجتد الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في رحمته وفي كل استصحاب وليا وحافظا وقائدا ومحسنا ودليلا وحيدا أنت تسكنه عبدك دونها وتمثله فيها قبيلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على I'm good. To get up any why do some people say does it make a difference? Yok da sen ben. Gelen güneş dergi başlıyor. Böyle nasıl yani nasıl
پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. فاتحہ. ماں جائی ہے زینب، ماں جائی ہے زینب، دکھ پائی ہے زینب، اے لاشِ بے سر تیرا سر لائی ہے زینب، ماں جائی ہے زینب. قیدی بنی سرننگے پھری، دم نہیں بھارا، قیدی بنی سرننگے پھری، دم نہیں مارا. سب آپ کا فرمان بجا لائی ہے زینب، ماں جائی ہے زینب. مرتے ہوئے تم جس کو مجھے سونپ گئے تھے، مرتے ہوئے تم جس کو مجھے سونپ گئے تھے، اس لاڈلی کو شام میں کھو آئی ہے زینب، ماں جائی ہے زینب. سرننگے تھی میں زوجہ حاکم جو ہی آئی، سرننگے تھی میں زوجہ حاکم جو ہی آئی، زندہ میں کیا ہند سے شرمائی ہے زینب، ماں جائی ہے زینب. اب ساتھ مجھے خبر میں لے لیجیو بھائی، اب ساتھ مجھے خبر میں لے لیجیو بھائی. دنیا کے بہت رنج سے گھبرائی ہے زینب، ماں جائی ہے زینب، دکھ پائی ہے زینب. اے لاشِ بے سر تیرا سر لائی ہے زینب ماں جائی ہے زینب بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات
پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب، شور ہے بن میں ہائے حسینہ، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب. کون سی حالت تم کو سناؤں، گزری ہے جو کیا وہ بتاؤں. بعد تمہارے باندھے گئے ہیں بازو رسن میں ہائے حسینہ، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب، شام سے چھٹ کر. دیکھو تو اٹھ کر گھر کی تباہی، باد خزاں نے کیا ہے مچائی. پھول ہیں باقی اور نہ غنچے میرے چمن میں ہائے حسینہ، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب، شام سے چھٹ کر. پالا تھا جن کو میں نے دکھوں سے، کیسوں والے روٹھے ہیں مجھ سے. سوتے ہیں رن میں منہ کو چھپائے اپنے کفن میں ہائے حسینہ، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب. اہل مدینہ پوچھیں گے مجھ سے قافلے والے اور ہیں کیسے، ان سے کہوں گی کوئی نہیں ہے سوئے ہیں بن میں ہائے حسینہ، شام سے چھٹ کر آئی ہے زینب، شور ہے بن میں ہائے حسینہ، شام سے چھٹ کر. سلو
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. کربلا تعظیم کر آئی بہن شبیر کی، جا کے قدموں سے لپٹ تو زینب دلگیر کی. قبر سے بے سر بہاتر تن اٹھے تعظیم کو، دیکھ اس استقبال کو ہے فرات شمشیر بھی، باپ کے ہاتھوں پہ ہے معصوم اصغر تیشنہ لا، دیکھ اب تک ہے نشانی حرملا کے تیر کی، قید سے چھٹ کر ہے آتا قافلہ زوار کا، پوچھ لے ان سے ستم زندان کی جاگیر کا، کالے محمل میں ہے بیٹھی بی بیا سب دکھ جلی، داغوں سے چلنی جگر ہے شاہ کی شمشیر کی، قید ہو کر جب چلی تھی سر پہ چادر بھی نہ تھی، سر کھلے بازار میں تھی وارث تطہیر کی، ننھی سی تربت یہ اصغر کی چھپا لے کربلا، کیا تڑپنا سن سکو گے مادر بے شیر کا، تم سکینہ کو نہ ڈھونڈو تربت عباس پر، رہ گئی ہے شام میں وہ لاڈلی شبیر کی، محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
For Muhammad wa Muhammad salawat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المعصومين الأبرار الميامين المظلومين المضطهدين السلام عليك وعلى ولدك المظلوم أبي عبد الله الحسين يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا غريب يا مظلوم يا عطشان كربلاء ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم أمن من لجأ والتجأ إليكم يا ليتنا فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم واعلموا أن الله يحول بين المرء وقلبه وأنه إليه تحشرون آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear brothers and sisters, I started off 2 nights ago talking about Sirat al-Mustaqim and that the struggle of calling yourself a mu'min is one that is defined by a state of constant struggle. And I receive many phone calls, I receive many messages from people who say that, and this is not unique to me by any means, who say that we feel like we cannot reach Allah. We feel like we're disconnected from Allah. We feel that it's a struggle just to find Allah. We stand on the musalla and we cannot feel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what can we do so that we don't feel this way? And my answer almost always is that why do we want to not feel that way? We should want to feel discomfort. We should want to feel that whatever connection we have to Allah is not sufficient and that we want more. Because the minute we admit to ourselves or we tell ourselves that I'm connected to Allah, that's it, I've reached, we've failed. That is the definition of failure. Because there is no way that we will ever be completely close to Allah. For us, until our dying moment, it is a struggle to get closer and closer and closer. And the sad thing is that we are constantly trying to move closer to Allah, but at the same time, there are many things we do in our lives that take us in the reverse direction. And that's why you need firmness, you need istiqamah. You need to be firm on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sirat al-Mustaqim is the path of firmness, the path of staying on course. And I mentioned to you yesterday that it is the very nafs of insan that is trying to deceive it, unfortunately, away. This nafs that we have inside of us, it is a double-edged sword. Or you'll say, well, why did Allah give us a double-edged sword? Why not just give us that which makes us perfect or gives us an advantage? Well, because the very thing that gives you the advantage is also the very thing that opens the door of susceptibility, opens up a window for the shaitan to get to you. How is that possible? Well, because you're driven to find something greater. Just like you're driven to eat and drink and fulfill your basic needs, there is a fitrah inside of you, this nafs inside, that is driving you to find something that is bigger than you, that is more universal than you, that gives you a purpose in the hayat ad-dunya. But at the same time, that drive that is pushing you to look beyond the physical world, that drive, you don't think it has desire for the other things? You can't take one and leave the other. And that's why there is a struggle inside of insan. And that's why the nafs of insan, either it's mired by the hawa, by the whims and the lowly desires, and it has no control over itself, or it doesn't have enough vision. It doesn't see reality the way it should be seen. And that's why it's reported that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he would say, Allahumma arinil ashya'a kama hiya. Oh Allah, show me things the way they truly are. Me, I see things the way I want to see them, the way I feel like I should see them, or the way that reality appears to me. And I am clouded by the function of my mind. And I think I'm being very smart and very clear, yet I don't see properly, and not only do I not see properly, everything in my mind is already predisposed to going in a certain direction. Let me give you an example. They did a study in which they brought some participants into this room and they gave them 2 chocolates that they had the option of purchasing. Okay, they had to purchase them. The first chocolate was like a Lind chocolate, you know, the Swiss, the really good quality chocolate, or Godiva, whatever you want to call it. And they said, look, for 15 cents, you can purchase the Lind chocolate, or for 1 cent, you can purchase a Hershey's Kiss. The Hershey's Kiss, I mean, that's the lowest form of chocolate, no? I mean, even you got that for 1 cent and you've got the Lind for 15 cents right now in front of you. When they gave this option to these participants, most of the participants, which one did they pick? The Lind. They picked the 15-cent Lind over the 1 cent Hershey's Kiss. Smart choice, Hershey's Kiss. God knows what that tastes like even, right? Then what did they do? They took a similar group of participants and brought them into the room, and they said to them, okay, you have an option to buy the Lind chocolate, or you have the Hershey's chocolate. The Lind chocolate is 14 cents. They reduced the price by 1 cent. And they said the Hershey's Kiss, 0 cents. It's free. You can take it for free. Guess which one they took now? The Hershey's Kiss. And now suddenly the Hershey's Kiss. Now, did the Lind chocolate and the Hershey's Kiss suddenly change? No, the Hershey's Kiss is still the lousy chocolate that you're eating. Nothing has changed. The Lind is still the better chocolate. But just by virtue of 1 cent, the vast majority switched from that Lind to take the free one. Why? Because it's free, right? These are things that happen inside of our mind that we don't even realize. Even in the marketing around you. Why do you think everything is $1.99, $2.99? Why not just say $3, $1? Why 99 cents? Because there's something inside of our mind that says it's 99. It's not quite $1. Believe me, you think this is silly, but they have done studies on this, that the mind of insan is constantly trying to figure out an angle to everything. And we are shaped by this. Our minds are shaped by this. And we think we see everything clearly when, believe me, we are being used. We are being used, we are being manipulated, and we are being made blind. We cannot see the things of value in front of us. And that's the greatest thing, is that the nafs will come, your own nafs will come, and it'll paint a picture. I gave you the dua of Sayyid al-Sajjad alayhi salam, that what did he say? He said that, Ya Allah, it's not that I didn't know who you were, or that I was in doubt of you, or that I didn't believe that you wouldn't punish me or call to account for me. No, I'm certain of all those things. وَلَكِنْ سَوَّلَتْ لِي نَفْسِي. My nafs painted a picture for me and made me think that this is valuable. What I'm doing is valuable, it's worthwhile, it's beneficial. So I did it. I pursued it. This is what life is about. You will not pursue something you don't think is valuable. It's human nature. If I were to tell you, go and climb up a mountain, and on the top of the mountain is a cardboard box, and you can go take that cardboard box, what's the first question you will ask me? What's in the box? If I were to say to you, nothing, you'll just get the cardboard box. There's air inside of it. Will you climb up the mountain? You'll never climb up the mountain. Why? Because it's not valuable. There's no value to it. Your nafs is this. Your nafs is constantly gauging what's valuable. And when it's given a choice between sleeping at the time of Fajr or getting up for Fajr, which is more valuable? That sleep is real valuable. Oh, it's so deep at that time. Maybe Allah made it that way as a test, that the deepest sleep comes at the time of Fajr, right? Right when the adhan goes. So the nafs is trying to weigh this out. And it does this for everything. And in this process, what is it doing? All it is doing is just reasserting the blindness that is inside of us. And why are we blind? Because Allah has given to us and gives us signs, and we don't even see those signs. We don't take those warnings. Let me give you an example. You know in the Holy Quran the story of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, in which he comes to Fir'aun, he warns Fir'aun. The people of Bani Israel, they follow him. They follow Musa alayhi salam. They want liberation. They say there was a man amongst the tribe of the Bani Israel, of the followers of Musa alayhi salam, who Allah had gifted him. And not only gifted him, but the Quran describes his story. And it says, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا. Take the example of the one who we gave our signs. Yes? And not only did we give him our signs, what were these signs? Allah is saying, I gave it to this person. This person, his name was Bal'am ibn Ba'ur. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا. Take the story or the warning of the man who was given our signs. Now, what are these signs? The riwayat, the traditions tell us that Allah had taught him certain names of himself, that if he were to do dua with those names, his dua would be answered. If I were to say to you that you have a lamp and you can rub it and a genie comes out and it will fulfill your wishes, 100% guaranteed every time, what will you do with that lamp? You will keep it safe, no? You'll lock it up. You won't let anyone even look at it. Maybe you won't even let your wife touch it. You won't let your children come near it. You'll protect it with your life. If you have something by which you can call on Allah or call on that power and say, Ya Allah, I need this, and boom, it's there. It's there. Look, the Quran is giving this example. It's saying, we gave him our sign. What did he do? فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَاتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. Look at what the ayah says. Despite the fact that we gave him these signs, this thing that's so valuable, any one of us, if Allah were to give us this gift by which we can ask him and he will fulfill it for us, who will consider anything more valuable in life? Anything more valuable. Allah, I need a job. Boom, you have a job. Allah, I need a car. You have a car. Allah, God forbid, my child is sick. Make them healthy again. There you go. Done. I asked through your name. It's done. Allah has given it. What did he do? He withdrew away from it. فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا. He moved away from those signs. He disregarded them. To him, they had no value. What happened in that moment? فَاتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ. Shaitan came behind him. Shaitan came behind him, فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. He went astray. So now let me ask you, when are those moments when Shaitan is waiting to capture you? Tell me. When is he trying to catch you? He's trying to catch you when you're unaware. When suddenly what Allah has placed in front of your eyes that is so valuable, that is so meaningful, you turned your head away from it, you ignored it, you considered it valueless, you moved away from it, Shaitan is waiting. And this example I give it a lot. That let's say you're walking down the street. Yes, I know LA has a big homeless problem, no? Lots of poverty here. In North Carolina, we don't see it as much. We don't have the population you have. But in North Carolina, unfortunately, it's when we exit ramp the highway and we're pulling up to get onto the side street or the street we have exited onto, they're always waiting there. Because I think the flow of traffic is there. They also have pitched their tents. They're sitting there. So they come. Now, let's say you're walking down the street. You're engrossed on your phone. Today, people have their phone. It's appendage. Even walking down the street, they're looking at their phone. They're walking. There's a homeless man sitting there, and he very sincerely asks, can you spare just a little bit? And what do? Your attention is on your phone. Maybe you glance at him, you hear him, and then you go back to your phone and you keep going. You keep walking. You keep walking. Maybe you even look at him. Maybe you even consider for half a second, but then keep going. What happens in this moment? You pass by, and who starts to follow you? Who follows you? Shaitan. Believe me, Shaitan follows you. Allah put a sign in front of you, maybe. Allah made a sign for you and said, look, you think that you're helping this person? You're actually doing some act of generosity to this poor man? No, 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 no. The value in the act is the fact that you are benefiting from the fact that you have been given an opportunity to help that person. This is why even Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, that when he was sitting with some companions, the poor man came. You all know this riwayah. It's reported. He comes to Imam Hassan. He says, Yabna Rasulullah, I'm very poor. Help me. Imam Hassan, he said, okay, don't tell me openly. Write it down on a piece of paper. So he came, he wrote down his need, his haja on a piece of paper, gave it to Imam Hassan alayhi salam. There's some companions sitting there, observing what's happening. Imam Hassan, he calls the attendant. He says to him, give him such and such amount. The attendant goes, he fulfills, he puts everything into a bag, a pouch, and he gives it to the poor person. The poor person opens it, sees the amount that's inside, has a big smile on his face, very satisfied, goes away, walks away. The paper is still there with the need written down of the poor man. They say one of the companions, he sees it. He opens the paper. He sees what the poor man had written down, that I need such and such amount of dirham or dinar or whatever it is. And he also happened to see how much was given by Imam Hassan. So he comes to the Imam. He says, Yabna Rasulillah. He says, the poor man had written down such and such amount, but I noticed that you gave him way more than he asked for. He said, how blessed is this piece of paper for this poor man? How blessed is this piece of paper that he wrote something down, but in return he got much more than he had asked for. How blessed is this piece of paper for this poor man? Imam Hassan, he says, no, you're wrong. He says, how blessed is this piece of paper that it came to us and gave us the opportunity to help. We don't know the value. We don't see it in front of our eyes. We walk by the homeless man. We think we're doing an act of generosity. We are helping. We are being benevolent and gracious. Meanwhile, it is us who, if we do it, we will save ourselves. We will save our children. Insha'Allah, it is a daf' al-bala. But the minute you ignore that valuable opportunity, that thing that has value in it, that you ignored, who comes after you? فَاتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ. Shaitan uses this as his moment to grab you. He comes behind you. And you think that it's nothing, it's a minor act. And maybe it may be a minor act, but he uses that. He uses that to catch you. And what does the ayah say about Bal'am ibn Ba'ur? It says that we gave him the ayah. فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَاتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. He is the sort of person, Bal'am ibn Ba'ur, he ignored the signs of Allah. So shaitan came behind him, he went astray. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does he say? He says that if we had wanted to, لَرَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا. He says, if we had chosen, we could have raised his status with this valuable gift that we had given to him. وَلَكِنَّهُ أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ. This man, Bal'am ibn Ba'ur, he says, instead of taking this opportunity of being raised in status by us, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did he do? He chose to live in the life of this world as if this is the permanent abode. He sold all his roots here. And he chased after his hawa, his whims. So what is his example? You all know this. فَمَثَلُهُ كَمَثَلِ الْكَلْبِ. His example is the example of the dog. That if you go after it, it pants. If you leave it alone, it pants. His example is that of a dog. Now tell me, the man is given a sign of Allah. So clearly he's not a kafir. No? Bal'am ibn Ba'ur is a kafir. He's a mushrik, idol worshipper. No, Allah has given him a sign. Allah has given him something valuable. So clearly he must have had some belief in Allah. That means what to us? That don't sort of predetermine for yourself that because you are a mu'min, that you are immune. No, shaitan is targeting the mu'min. And he's saying, I'm waiting for the very moment that those things that are valuable, that come in front of your eyes, you choose to ignore them. This is when I'm going to come and get you. I'm going to attack you. This is what we have to teach our children. That the very small things in life, don't ignore them. Don't take them for granted. Make sure, this ourselves, not just our children. Today, because we have lots, we have an overabundance of everything, most of it has no value to us. The water that we drink, the plastic that is in our food and our groceries, all of these things that we shove into the earth and don't care about what's happening. Why should I care? It doesn't affect me. I have enough electricity, I have enough power, I have enough clean water, I have all those things, so why should I value it? Tomorrow, I'll have more of it. Doesn't matter if it's gone. But if I only had that one glass of water, for the entirety of my day, tell me, we would waste one drop of it? We would not waste even one drop of that. There are villages in sub-Saharan Africa, in Niger, in Chad, where the women have to walk 6 to 8 kilometers to get one bucket of water for the entire week, usually, for a few days' time at minimum. What they do, they'll walk, they take a bucket, basically, earthen plot, and they go and take the water. That too, it's not aqua, like the Evian water that we get here, Voss water or the bottled water that we get here. It's murky water from which the animals are drinking. They take that water, they carry it back to their villages 6 to 8 kilometers. They cannot consume it the way it is, so they strain it through their thin clothing, so at least the dirt comes out of it. God knows what cyclospora or whatever else is still in there. They use that not only for their washing of their clothes and washing their children, washing their pots and pans, but then they use it to cook as well and drink the water. And here we are, we turn our taps on and we let them run and let them run and let them run. Shaitan is waiting there, waiting to catch us. He says Allah gave this person something of so much value, clean water, that Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, what does he say? He says, Ya Shi'ati, Shi'ati, kullama sharibtum adhb al-ma'i la tansuni. My Shia, every time you drink that water to quench your thirst, think about your poor Imam Abi Abdullah. Say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. My dears, those valuable things, we cannot lose them. We can't. Because those are the very things, and they are very small, and they are very subtle, and we are all questionable for them. And the way that we have to act towards them is extremely, extremely important. Let me give you an example. When Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam finally reaches towards Karbala, and maybe I mentioned this to you already, that when he left Medina and went to Mecca, why did he leave? He left because a man like him does not pledge to a man like Yazid. That would be an admittance of the acceptance of evil, tyranny, corruption, all of these things. So he did not. He left, he went to Mecca. When he gets to Mecca, why does he go to Iraq? Why did he choose Iraq? Because he received hundreds and thousands of letters coming from Iraq. He was acting on what was in front of him. That the reports of pledges and support were coming from Iraq, so he moved forward with that. When he gets to Karbala, what happens? Both those circumstances are placed in front of him. Yes? Umar ibn Sa'ad la'natullahi alayh comes and he says to him, you must pledge. Shimr comes, you must pledge. If you don't pledge, we will attack you. You are not allowed to leave until you pledge. Imam Hussein, he says, I will not pledge. It has reached that state where the evil that it exists on that other side has to be stopped. It has to be stood against at any cost. So no pledging. What about the letters? Imam Hussein produces the letters, shows it to them. You are the ones who called me. You are the ones who called me. So much so that on the day of Ashura, what happens? On the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein is standing there. Umar ibn Sa'ad la'natullahi alayh on the other side. He calls the men of Kufa. He says, look, here's a letter. I'm writing it. I want it taken to Hussein ibn Ali. Take it to him, get an answer from him immediately. Wait there, get an answer, come back. There's a man, he says, I will take it. I will take it. Immediately he stands up. He says, I will take it. And he says, I have my sword, and if you command me, I will kill al-Hussein right there and then. Immediately he stands up. Umar ibn Sa'ad, he gives him the letter. He says, no, don't kill. There's nothing. I didn't ask you to kill Hussein. Take the letter, let him read it, get his answer. They say this man goes forward. As he starts to walk forward, Imam Hussein sees him coming. They say Habib ibn Madahir radiallahu ta'ala anh is standing next to Imam Hussein. He comes to Imam Hussein. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, I know this man. He's not trustworthy. He's violent. He's aggressive. Allow some of us to go forward and intercept him and see what he wants. So some men go forward. They come. They say, what do you want? The man from Umar ibn Sa'ad's side, he says, I have brought a letter for the grandson of Rasulullah, for Al-Hussein ibn Ali. My task is to give it to him, wait for his response, and then go back. He moves forward. He comes. The companions of Imam Hussein, he says, stop. You're not allowed to go. The only way you will go is if you leave your sword in that place, then you can come forward. Drop your sword, then you can advance forward to go speak with our master Al-Hussein. He refuses. He says, no, I'm a champion. I'm a soldier. I will not relinquish my sword. So they say, you must go back. He goes back. He tells Umar ibn Sa'ad. He says, I tried. They wouldn't let me go without relinquishing my sword. So Umar ibn Sa'ad looks at the other men who are gathered there, the Kufan men, and he says, who will go and take this letter? Nobody raises their head. Everyone's head is down. No one's trying to look at Umar ibn Sa'ad. Again, he asks, is there not one of you courageous enough who will take this letter? All I'm asking you is take the letter to Al-Hussein and get the answer. Finally, a man named Qurra ibn Qais al-Handali, he steps forward. He says, I will take it. Begrudgingly, he comes, he takes the letter, he starts to walk. As he approaches Imam Hussein's camp, Habib is there standing again. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, I know this man. He is one of the chiefs of the tribes of Kufa. I know him to be an honest man, a man of character, a man of good morals. Let me go speak to him. Let me go speak to him. Habib goes to him. He talks to Qurra. Qurra gives him the letter. Habib, he says, oh Qurra, what are you doing? How is it that you find, I know you to be a man of honor, dignity, honesty, trustworthiness. How is it that you are on that side against the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam? How is this possible? Come and join us. Come and join us and save your akhirah. Save your akhirah. Were you not one of those who sent a letter to Al-Hussein ibn Ali? He says, yes. In fact, that's why all of those men who were standing in front of Umar ibn Sa'ad when he was saying, who's going to take the letter to Hussein? All of them had their heads down. Why? Because they were the ones who had written the letter to Al-Imam al-Hussein to come to Kufa. So now they're embarrassed that they have trapped him in this place. So Qurra ibn Qais al-Handali, he gives the letter. He says to Habib ibn Madahir, he says, I will think about what you have said to me. And he goes back. The letter, all it said was, you must pledge. If you don't pledge, you will be put to the sword. You cannot leave here, etc. All these things, right? So you see the state. Qurra ibn Qais al-Handali, to finish that story, never comes to the side of Imam Hussein. He remains with Umar ibn Sa'ad. He stays there. La'natullahi alayh. And you see what happens. Now Imam Hussein, the letters have come. They have, the people who wrote those letters have faltered, have broken their pledge. There is no pledge to be given to a man like Yazid. What is the only thing that remains? In the preservation of the most valuable thing given to us, to insan, which is what? The deen of Allah, no? Is there anything more valuable than the religion of God? That's why Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu was salam, what would he say? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. It's reported he would say, Allahumma la taj'al musibati fi dini. Oh Allah, don't give me any musibah in my life, any trial, any bala, any calamity in my life, but not in my religion. Don't give me any calamity inside of my religion. You see now, Imam Hussein stands and he says, the time has come that the most valuable thing for us, for all of humanity, and Hussein is such, Al-Imam al-Hussein is such, that he's not just saving that religion for himself, not just for his children, he's saving it for all humanity. Huh? That today we are here because of Al-Hussein ibn Ali, because he gave the sacrifice for that thing that is most valuable. And so what is it that he did? He did Amar bil Ma'ruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. He stood, and that was his task. That was the taklif that was on the shoulders of that Ma'soom Imam. The same applies to us. Not at the level of an Imam who is Ma'soom and chosen by Allah, but anything that is valuable that is given to us, how must we act towards it? With Ma'ruf. When you say Amar bil Ma'ruf, what does that mean? It's not just, it's translated to mean enjoining the good. But if you look at its deeper significance, ma'ruf is what? Ma'ruf is to say there is something in front of you that has value of which you have to fulfill its right. Meaning I have a bottle of water, it has value, I have the right to drink some of it, and the amount that I don't drink to quench my thirst, I shouldn't throw it away, I should take it and use it for some other purpose, or give it to some other poor person who may need to drink that water. No? That thing of value has a right upon me. The only way I fulfill that right is by what? By doing ma'ruf. That's why the Quran, even in one of the biggest examples in the Quran, it talks about men who divorce their wives. Isn't it? And when they divorce their wives, what does the Quran warn them to do? Act with ma'ruf. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Treat them with ma'ruf. Ma'ruf means what? Meaning, treat them in a manner that fulfills their right, fulfills their value as a human being, fulfills who they are standing in front of you. What do? We get angry, our nafs takes over, our ego takes over, and we say, no, forget about your rights. Forget about what you need. And what have we done in that process? We have compromised the value of that gift that Allah has given. That we cannot do. And that's why that ma'ruf, even Al-Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says, there are three things you have to do to ensure that ma'ruf is fulfilled. You have something of value, that Allah has given to you, you must ensure that you do these three things. He says, the first thing is tasghir. Tasghir means to take it and make it small. Make it small. So whatever act of ma'ruf you have done, you make it small. Because if you make it small, he says, فَإِذَا صَغَّرْتَهُ عَظَّمْتَهُ. If you take your act of ma'ruf and in your own mind and in your own heart, you consider it to be very minimum and very small and very minuscule, in the eyes of Allah, it becomes great. Right? If I go and give charity to a poor man and I help him and I say, oh, this is the greatest charity I have done. Look at the benevolence I've shown you. What have I done? I've taken that act of charity and I've reduced the size of it to minimum significance, if that. But if I go and like Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, in the middle of the night when nobody knows me, I go and I feed the poor. Or like Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, who when his body was being washed by Al-Imam al-Baqir, it's reported, he said, I saw a scar on the back of my father. And when it was inquired, where did that scar come from? I would inform the people that in the middle of the night, he will go carrying the sack of bread and food and provisions on his back. And every night he will carry and it would make a scar. It would injure his back, wound his back, and it created a scar on his back. When nobody knew that it was him. The minute you have made that ma'ruf small, you have made its significance and its reward big. So tasghir is one. Number two, tastir, at-tasattur, meaning you must hide it. Meaning if you are going to do ma'ruf, do it in such a manner that nobody sees it. فَإِذَا سَتَرْتَهُ تَمَّمْتَهُ. If you hide that act of goodness to preserve the value of something, what have you done? You have made it complete. You have made it complete. Why? Because in your mind, no longer do you care about what anyone thinks. You want only Allah to know about it. And that is a great act. The greatest acts are the acts that are only seen by the eyes of Allah, not by the eyes of humanity. That's what makes it complete. And ta'jeel, that last thing, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, ta'jeel, he says, do it quickly. When you do ma'roof, make sure you are doing it quickly. Don't take a chance. Remember the example of the poor man sitting there. No? When you see the opportunity to do something right, to fulfill the right of someone, to ensure that the value of something remains preserved, he says, do it fast, do it now. Do it now. Why? Because the minute you do it now, فَإِذَا عَجَّلْتَهُ هَنَّأْتَهُ, its effect will be most profound. The minute you do it quickly. If I don't give that poor man now and I walk away and then later on, an hour later, I come back and I want to help him, maybe he's not there anymore. No, he's gone. And then what happens? Not only did I not value him as a human being, but what did I do? I'm the loser. I lost the opportunity to do something good and earn Allah's reward. See how Allah teaches us. And that's why Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. He says, if you don't, it's reported, he says, if you don't have these three things, then it is as if you have made a mockery out of doing the right. It is like you have made a mockery of it. It's deficient. It's not good enough. My dears, why do I say this to you? Because the lesson of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein on the night of this Arbaeen is the one that teaches us that the most valuable thing in front of you, do not take it for granted. Don't allow it to fade in front of your eyes or pass by you and you don't even notice that it went. Uphold it. And not only uphold it, ask yourself that for that thing that is most valuable, the things that are less valuable, okay, you fulfill its right, but the impact of what you're doing or the expenditure that you're having to give to do the act of ma'roof is very small. The more valuable something is in front of your eyes, the more its importance and its significance is in your eyes and in your life, the more difficult what becomes. Ma'roof. Is there anything more valuable than religion? Nothing. And so what does it take to preserve religion? The ma'roof of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. No? The grand sacrifice. The more, the greater the act of ma'roof, the greater the sacrifice. Same goes for us. And you will know immediately how valuable something is for you. If your religion is valuable for you, you will sacrifice for it and you will give a big sacrifice for it. I'm not talking about going out and fighting and dying. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sacrificing those things that your nafs is telling you chase after them in the hayat al-dunya. Find for yourself that strength and that resilience to say the most valuable thing, my wife, my children, my husband, my parents, my code of ethics, what I stand for, I will not compromise them. They are the most valuable things for me, so I will do the act of ma'roof that is most difficult for them, to preserve them. That is the legacy of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. And that's why you see how they acted, how the Ahl al-Bayt acted from start to finish, how Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam came and refused to bend the head, knowing full well. And that's why even when he was leaving Mecca, you know this, that Muhammad al-Hanafiya, he comes to him, his brother, he says, my brother, I will not ask you to stop. I asked you not to go and you have shown that you must go. I'm not stopping you, but why must you take the women and the children with you? And the answer that's reported from Al-Imam al-Hussein is that Allah has decreed or willed to see them go with me and being taken prisoner. And you see that sacrifice. On the day of Ashura, let's recall one of the champions for just a moment. On the day of Ashura, when everyone is martyred, the companions are gone. Habib is gone, Muslim ibn Awsaja is gone, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn is gone, Burayr ibn Khudayr is gone, one John is gone, all of them one by one. And the youth of the Bani Hashim have gone and fought and given their lives. Ali al-Akbar, Qasim ibn al-Hasan, Abdullah ibn Muslim ibn Aqil is gone. All of them, one by one, going out and fighting. Aoun and Muhammad, the sons of Abdullah ibn Ja'far al-Tayyar, they have gone. Now, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he comes forward. He says to Imam Hussein that, Yabna Rasulullah, my chest has become tight from hearing the taunts of the enemy, from seeing one companion after the other's body being brought back. Allow me to go and fight the enemy and relieve this tightness that is in my chest. Imam Hussein, he says to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas that, oh Abbas, go first and get water for the children. That water that is so precious. And what does the Rawi say? The Rawi says that Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, first before leaving, he goes and he bids farewell to his sister Kulthum. And when he comes into the tent, he's bidding farewell to Kulthum. As he enters into the tent along with his brother Imam Hussein, they say the enemy soldier on the outside, he sees Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and Imam Hussein go into the tent and he yells at them. He says to them, Ya Hussein, Ya Abbas, ajalastuma ma'an nisa? Have you gone and sat down with the women, as if accusing them of cowardice and hiding behind the women? They say as soon as Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he hears this, he gets up and he turns to the door of the tent to leave. They say Kulthum grabs his arm. I think to myself, how Kulthum alayhi salam how she must have bared those next few days and weeks in Kufa and in Sham. That the one who had protected them, the one whose hand of solace and cover and security had been taken away. She holds onto the arm of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Imam Hussein, he turns to her and he says, Ya ukhayya da'ih, faqad ishtaqa al-habibu ila habibih. He says to her, let him go. He's longing for his beloved, meaning Allah. He's longing for his beloved, let him go. Let him go. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas climbs his horse and charges towards the Mashra'a, towards the Alqami, the river, fending off the assault of the enemy soldiers. They are assaulting him, attacking him from every corner, every side. They cannot defeat him, they cannot stop him. Finally, he reaches the water, descends down from his horse, takes a bit of water in his hand, and holding that water in his hand, the thought goes through his head, should I quench my thirst? Immediately, he says to himself, شلون أشرب وأخوي حسين عطشان وسكنة والحرام وأطفال رضعان والله الظن قلب العليل التهب نيران رمى الماء من كفه وتحسر. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas knew the thirst of al-Hussein, knew the thirst of Sukayna bint al-Hussein, knew that as-Sajjad was burning with fever inside. How could he drink that water? How could he quench his thirst? He threw the water back in the Alqami. He filled the qirba, the water skin, with water, put it in his right hand, mounted on his horse, and started to race back to the tents. There's only one task on his mind, and that is to quench the thirst of the people of Imam Hussein's camp, racing back to the battlefield, through the battlefield. The enemy soldiers, they start to attack him from every side. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, still making his way to the tent. Maybe his eyes could see Abi Abdullah al-Hussein waiting for him in front. Maybe he could see Sukaina bint al-Hussein waiting there, waiting to receive him, to quench her thirst. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is finally attacked from behind. The cursed soldier takes a pole and strikes Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on the head. Another soldier attacks him from the right side. فضربه على يمينه فقطعها. He struck him on the right arm and severed it from the body. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas had taken the water skin in his left hand. And again the assault came from the left side. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas held the water skin in his mouth. The enemy they came and struck him on the left arm and severed it from the body. Still the water skin in his mouth, he is charging back towards the tent. Now the arrows are flying to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. One strikes him in the eye. Another of the spears hit him in the chest. And then he falls to the ground calling out, "As-salam عليك يا عبد الله أدركني سيدي." Falls to the ground calling Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein comes out quickly, racing towards the body of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He comes to him, وكأني بسيدي ومولاي الحسين وهو يقول الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي وشمت بي عدوي. Now my back has broken, Abbas. Now my strength has gone away from me. He comes to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. They say Imam Hussein tried to lift up the body of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas to take him back to the tents. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he says, Sayyidi ya Aba Abdullah, I have one request for you. Do not carry me back to the tents. Leave me here in my place. Allow me to expire and live there while still here. Imam Hussein, he says, Ya Akhi, Ya Abbas, why do you not want to be moved back to the tents? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he answers, he says, Sayyidi, Ya Aba Abdullah, I had promised Sukaina to bring her water to quench her thirst. I had promised the children, I am a saqa. I am the one who comes and gives water to the thirsty. How is it I'm going to show my face to her? All spilled out of the skin to the camp. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas takes the head, lies on the ground of Karbala. Imam Hussein lifts up his head and places it into his lap. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas drops his head down to the ground of Karbala. الآن أبي عبد الله الحسين أخذ برأس أبي الفضل العباس رفعه عن الأرض ووضعه في حجره. Again, Imam Hussein lifted the head of Abbas and placed it on his lap. Again, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas dropped his head to the ground of Karbala. Imam Hussein, he said, Ya Akhi, Ya Abbas, you are dying, you are leaving this world. Why do you not allow me to hold your head in my lap? Why don't you allow me to console you in these last moments? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas opened his eye. Well, the other eye has an arrow in it. He says, Sayyidi ya Abba. If you hold my head in your lap in these last moments of my life, who is going to hold your head? Hanging there on the ground. They say that the Sabah The prisoners, when they were taken from the tents, were looking at the heads of the martyrs, looking at the head of Al-Hussein, but looking also at the head of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. My dear brothers and sisters, these same prisoners have been taken to Kufa, taken to Sham, and finally released from Sham. In the days following their release from Sham, they descended down through Karbala, finally arriving back to Medina. Inside of Medina, Imam as-Sajjad, he tells Bishr ibn Jadlam, he says to him, go before we enter into Medina. We have just come back from the tragedy of Karbala. We have just come back from Kufa and Sham, released after the difficulties and the trials and calamities we have faced. Go, Bishr, on top of the minaret inside of Medina. Announce to the people of Medina that the family of Rasulullah has returned. Bishr goes in, he climbs the minaret, he announces to everybody that the family of Al-Hussein has returned. The daughters of Rasulullah returned. They say all the people of Medina leave their homes. The Rawi, he says it was as if Israfil had blown his horn on the day of judgment. Everybody had come out. Bishr ibn Jadlam descends down from the minaret. One old woman, she comes to him. She says to him, oh Bishr, what was this announcement you gave? I did not hear what you said. Bishr turns to the old lady. Seeing who this old lady is, he says to her, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك عثمان. May Allah increase your because of your son Uthman. She looks at him, she says to him, ما سألتك عن عثمان. He says to her, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك عبد الله. May Allah increase your reward because of the sacrifice of your son Abdullah. She says to him, ما سألتك عن ولدي عبد الله. He says to her again, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك جعفر. Allah increase your reward, lady, because of your son Ja'far. And again she says to him, ما سألتك عن ابني جعفر. Finally Bishr looks at al-Banin and he says to her, لك الأجر بولدك الفضل العباس. Because of the sacrifice of your son الفضل العباس. She looks at Bishr and she says, ما سألتك عن ولدي son أسألك سيدي. She went to the grave of Hazari. She says, يا سيدتي ومولاتي to give you. حسينا وغريبا وسيعلم الذين ظلموا على محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك ونقسم عليك بحق الزهراء وأبيها. Ask through the name of Fatima al-Zahra. Ask through the name of Mawlati Fatima. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك ونقسم عليك بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها لعن الله ظالميها. اللهم شافي كل مريض. اللهم رد كل غريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك يا كريم. اللهم وفقنا لمراضيك وجنبنا معاصيك وثبت أقدامنا على صراطك المستقيم وخذ بأيدينا إليك يا أرحم الراحمين وفرج عنا يا الله فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر يهو أقرب من ذلك وافرغ علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
نزدیک کر لگا ہمیں جب پہنچا قافلہ بولا بشیر اس جا پہ خیمے تے میرے آقا کے جا بجا سادات کربلا چہلم کو کت لگا ہمیں جب آئے مبتلا سادات بے ہوش ہو کے گر پریوں تو سے بی عابر کی سن فغاں زینب پکاری بیٹائے جن گل ہے کون سا سادات کربلا چہلم کو کت لگا ہمیں جب آئے مبتلا سادات عابد پکارے کیوں پھوپھی تم کو خبر نہیں یہ ہے وہی زمین بابا کو میرے قتل کیا گر دیا جلا سادات کربلا چہلم کو کت لگا ہمیں جب آئے مبتلا اصغر کی لاش پر گری بانو بشور و شین اے میرے دل کے چین اٹھو پیارے ماں سے لپٹ جا وہ تو ذرا سادات کربلا چہلم کو کت لگا ہمیں جب سادات آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، سید ابرار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، زہرا کے دلدار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، زہرا کے دلدار کا، گور و کفن لاش کو جس کو میسر نہیں، گور و کفن لاش کو جس کو میسر نہیں، اس تن ناچار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، سید ابرار کا، آج ہے 40واں زہرا کے دلدار کا، لاش پہ جن کے نہیں رونے کو کوئی رہا، لاش پہ جن کے نہیں رونے کو کوئی رہا، بے کس و بے یار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، سید ابرار کا، آج ہے 40واں زہرا کے دلدار کا، مر گئے عباس علی بازو کٹا نہر پر، مر گئے عباس علی بازو کٹا نہر پر، شہ کے علمدار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، سید ابرار کا، آج ہے 40واں زہرا کے دلدار کا، نقل امامت کا گل اکبر غازی موا، نقل امامت کا گل اکبر غازی موا، اس گل گلزار کا، آج ہے 40واں سید ابرار کا، زہرا کے دلدار کا، قبر حسین الوداع اہل وطن الوداع، قبر حسین الوداع، وداع سید سجاد کا تھا یہ سخن الوداع، قبر حسین الوداع اہل وطن الوداع، قبر حسین الوداع، سید سجاد کا وداع ہوئی رہائی، مجھے تربتیں بننے لگی، ٹوٹی ہوئی ہادیہ جسم سے ملنے لگی، قبر حسین الوداع، قبر حسین الوداع، سید سجاد کا وداع، قبر میں سب سونپ کے جاتا ہے یہ بے وطن، شکر ہے معبود کا مل گیا سب کو دفن، حسین الوداع اہل وطن الوداع، قبر حسین الوداع، سید سجاد کا وداع، بن گئی قبریں تمام، لکھ دیا ہر ایک پہ نام، ختم ہوا یہ بھی کام، آخری میرا سلام، قبر حسین الوداع، قبر حسین الوداع اہل وطن الوداع، وداع، کرب و بلا تجھ میں ہی دفن ہے کل قافلہ، معفوفی بہنوں کے ساتھ صرف ہے زین العبا، قبر حسین قبر حسين الوداع اہل وطن الوداع سید سجاد کا اور محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Ladies, could you please make sure that your projector's on? I just have a quick announcement. Give me 1 second. Just a couple of reminders. The Who is Hussein canned food drive ends tomorrow. There's bins in the men's and the ladies section. Please make sure that you bring some canned goods to donate by tomorrow, as they'll be collecting them after tomorrow. As a reminder, tomorrow our program will start at 12:45 with Ziyarat Arbaeen. Please do sign up for emails and SMS reminders if you haven't already done so that you can get program updates and any changes if there are any changes to the program. Last night, after the program, we had a very productive Q&A session. There are several topics that were discussed, but there was one topic that was discussed that I think is very important to share with the community, and that is around mental health and awareness and wellness. Sheikh shared a group that he's with. It's with the Nasiha group, and they offer 24-hour, 7 days a week mental health and crisis and emotional support. It's a 24-hour hotline that is manned by someone. And so I have the number up here for text and for calling. Again, it's 24 hours support if you need help. And I think it's something that is very important that we don't talk about in the community, especially in our community. So please take a moment to take a picture of that number. If you or someone you know needs help, there's always a resource for them. And Sheikh is also here to answer any questions that you may have. And we'll be posting this number in the men's hall and in the ladies' hall. But again, Sheikh is available if you do have any questions, but we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there is support for people who have an emotional need or are going through a crisis. With that, we'll end with Ziyarat. Abbasini.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله السلام عليك ببي خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك ببي فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين السلام عليك يا إمام الحسن المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. Together, السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك ببي زينب الدغية وكلثوم المرضية والسكينة المسبيحة. السلام عليك ببي أم البنين. السلام عليك يا حضرة أبو الفضل العباس. السلام عليك يا شهداء كربلاء وأسيران كربلاء جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا إمام علي بن الحسين زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي الباقر وجعفر بن محمد الصادق وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك بفاطمة معصومة. السلام عليك يا إمام محمد بن علي التقي الجواد وعلي بن محمد الحاد النقي والحسن بن علي الزكي العسكري. السلام عليك ببي نرجس خاتون وببي حكيمة خاتون. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن وخليفة الرحمن وقابة الإيمان وإمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجا وسع تحلل مخرج وظهور الأمر. السلام عليك يا أهل البيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الله